Imagine you're in the middle of negotiating with a tough supplier. They give you their price, which is way more than what you can afford. At this exact moment in time, are you able to quickly decide what you can and cannot give up? Normally, it comes down to time, price, and quality. It all depends on your ability to think on your feet and make the right choice under pressure. And this is negotiation. So what will you get out of the course? Well, you'll know how to plan and prepare, focusing on your counterparty's pressure, not only yours. You'll be able to analyze your situation during negotiations on the spot. Identify your variables, your best alternative, your worst alternative, and your zone of possible agreement, and stick to it. Confidently barter without losing face or damaging the relationship. Welcome objections. Objections are actually a good thing because they help you find out more about what the other party wants. Understand how to identify manipulative tactics and neutralize them, and always be willing to walk away. You will be more aware of what kind of negotiator you are, and most important, the areas you need to focus on. So what's included? Well, a 2-day live virtual training with me. Four intense hours per day of role plays, interactive discussions, self-awareness activities, and more. PowerPoint slides, an e-workbook, and a certificate of completion. What are you waiting for? Come on board. Your best negotiation is yet to come with us. What is PMP? Many people know that it stands for Project Management Professional. But what does it mean to have a PMP certification? We'll tell you. It's an industry-wide recognized qualification. It works within any industry and in any location. It's a career promoter. Surveys show that certified project managers earn almost 20% more than non-certified ones. And the trend shows this will continue to grow. It's a higher job security, especially relevant during the pandemic when lots of people are getting laid off. It's networking. And most importantly, it's a tool to improve and validate all the essential competencies for successful project management. Today, project managers with PMP certifications handle 3/4 of all high-performing projects. Companies having more than a third PMP certified specialists have a higher project success than those companies that don't. So whether you are an individual contributor wanting to increase your value in the job market and become more hireable, or if you are a company wanting to run complex projects with a higher success rate, PMP is what you need, and we will help you get there. Contact us. We have your back.
Hi, my name is Felix and I'm looking for project management course for my staff. So can you tell me please more about that?
Yes, sir, Felix. I can help you with...
Sorry, Felix.
Felix.
Where are you from?
I'm from Philippines, Mr. Felix.
Okay, forget about my course.
This is an example of a bad negotiation. It's gone wrong. The actual subject of the negotiation is clearly not being discussed. It's become personal between both parties, down to where they are from and how they speak.
Hi, my name is Felix and I'm looking for a course called project management for my staff. It was best price. So can you help me with that please?
Yes, sir, Felix. I can help you with that.
Yeah, can you call me Lex? No problem.
Oh, okay, sir, Lex. Well, actually, we have a 5-day course for that one, project management.
To be honest with you, 5 days it's long for us. So can you make it 4 days please?
Okay. How about we extend the duration of the sessions per day so we can finish the content within 4 days?
Yeah, no problem. What about the price and quality? It will be same?
Yes, sir, yes. It's the same as per your requirements.
Okay, great. Thank you.
This is an example of a good negotiation. Both parties are focusing on the actual subject of the negotiation rather than the personalities.
16 years. I've spent most of those 16 years training in aviation with Emirates and Fly Dubai. I love training. It is in my blood. I breathe training. I sleep training. So this is something that I thoroughly enjoy doing. So sit back, relax for the next 45 minutes. Just a quick thing, just so you can follow us on social media, ladies and gentlemen. I am from Select Training. You can scan the QR code that is on your screen at the moment. We are also on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, everywhere you look, we are there. Just a couple of things before we start, ladies and gentlemen. The title of our course today is How to Prepare for Mid-Year Appraisals. Just a couple of quick things today, ladies and gentlemen. If you are comfortable, please do turn on your videos. It will be fantastic to see your gorgeous faces on this Tuesday afternoon. If you're not comfortable, that's totally fine as well. Could I please request that you put your mobile phones on silent? This is just to prevent any interference and so that the rest of the delegates can hear me as well. A couple of things, you might just want to keep your phones maybe a little bit away from your computers or laptops just to prevent any static. Can I please ask all of you to mute yourselves while you're listening to me? This is just so that everyone else can hear me and just to drown out any background noise that you could have. However, this session is going to be very interactive. I'm happy for you to use the chat as well. I am monitoring the chat. So if you're more comfortable using the chat, please go ahead. If you want to unmute yourself and shout the answers out, please go ahead and do so. You can find your audio settings on your menu bar. So depending, you can move your menu bars to where you're comfortable with, the top of your screen, bottom of your screen. You can find your audio settings right there. You can unmute yourselves. You can start and stop your video as well. You can also send us a couple of reactions. So if you're all there and listening to me and you're excited for us to start, could I please get a thumbs up? You can find your reaction in your menu bars as well. Right there. Oh, thank you, Patricia. Oh, thank you, Farah. So just a couple of things before we get into the nitty-gritty of how to prepare for mid-year appraisals. You can also change the way you view this, your screens today. You can go into gallery view, or you can go into full option. Entirely up to you what you're comfortable with. Just a couple of house rules before we start, ladies and gentlemen. Our material is copyrighted, so please no recordings or photos and no sharing of the material. I am super happy for you to go on social media and shout out to the world that you have attended our course with Select. Please do that. However, we do ask that you don't post any of our materials online. All right, ladies and gentlemen, just before we start, I thought, we should do a little bit of a session overview just to let you know what we will be covering in the next 40 minutes or so. We're going to talk about what is performance management and where do appraisals fit in, how to prepare for the appraisal, and how to understand and how to monitor and track performance moving forward. See, I love performance management. I love talking about appraisals. I know a lot of us dread it, so I want to change that perception today. I think it's something we should all look forward to because it actually drives our growth in the organization. So hopefully after 40 minutes, I can change your perception a little bit about appraisals and people don't look at it as a punishment. I think it should be something we look forward to. So I thought, we should start the day. If everyone watches WWE, WWF, let's get ready to rumble. So let's start our day, ladies and gentlemen. You can use the chat if you prefer. You can unmute yourselves and shout your answers out as well. I thought we should start the day with a little bit of true and false. Let me read the first question and you can tell me if you think this is true or false. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are ready, let's start. Managers always set clear objectives at the beginning of the year and hold employees accountable for them. Do you think this is true or false? Anybody want to give it a shot? You can use the chat. Oh, okay. Maimuna says true. All right. Anybody else want to try? Do you think this is true or false? Ah, false. Oh, yes. Hello, Farah. Yes. Thank you, Farah. Yes, okay. Amel says true. Ladies and gentlemen, it's actually false. You know, a lot of times when managers sit at the beginning of the year and they're talking about objectives and goals, a lot of times, so Amal says managers with employees together, absolutely. The both of you need to have this conversation. And a lot of times I've realized from doing this training, a lot of employees walk away not 100% clear of what's expected of them. And a lot of times managers, they're so busy or they're so involved and they have so much on their plate, they may not have enough time to explain clearly. So what I want to try to emphasize today is performance management is a conversation. It's an ongoing process. It's an ongoing conversation that should be happening throughout the year, not quarterly, not monthly, not mid-year and final year. It should be happening all the time. Let's go for question number 2. It is not good to compare employees when reviewing their past performance. True or false, ladies and gentlemen? Ah, thank you, Maimuna says false. It's not good to compare employees. True or false? We shouldn't be comparing. Yes, thank you. It is true. So it's not good to compare employees. Look, we're not in school, right? Every employee has something different to deliver to the table. We all excel at different things. All right, number 3. High performers are best left alone to achieve their goals without interference. True or false? Ah, wow. I have all of you sending me the answers. Absolutely. It is false. High performers don't need to be micromanaged. I want to guide them a little bit. You want to be there when they need you. You still sort of want to keep a little bit of an eye, but they don't need to be micromanaged. High performers actually perform better on their own, but still, as a manager, supervisor, team lead, you want to be there to guide them. Number 4, the best thing to do with low performers is to just let them get on with it. Would you leave your low performers alone and let them get on with it? Ah, very good. False. Sometimes our low performers may not be performing because, something could be going wrong or they've lost, a lot of times, ladies and gentlemen, we have a plan that we set at the beginning of the year, and sometimes along the way, plan A may not work, and we need to come up with plan B or plan C. And sometimes they need a little bit more guidance or training and coaching. Let's have a look at question number 5. You need to meet and discuss an employee's mid-year appraisal so they know how they have performed. True or false, ladies and gentlemen? Oh, hello, Emelina, welcome. It is absolutely true. Mid-year appraisals, I like to think of mid-year appraisals like a pit stop, like a check-in. Think of the F1 Grand Prix. Cars can't keep racing. They do need to stop, do a check-in, oil, tires, same thing. I find mid-year appraisals is like a pit stop, a check-in. So employees know how they're doing. And it's also an opportunity for managers and team leads and supervisors to provide positive feedback on, the work they've done to date, accomplishments, and also at the same time, you want to give a bit of corrective feedback to help them work on areas that they could be lacking in. Let's have a look at question number 6. Mid-year performance reviews are always an accurate reflection of an employee's work. True or false, ladies and gentlemen? Amelina, absolutely, it is false. It's not. It's not an accurate reflection. Remember, your mid-year performance is only the last 6 months, and you still have the next 6 months to make those little corrections and work on the areas, your areas of development. All right, number 7. If employees don't get feedback, they could become demotivated. True or false, ladies and gentlemen, feedback is super important, absolutely true. How will employees know if they're doing well, if they're not doing well? How can they make changes? Feedback is super important. All right, number 8. 3 out of 5 bosses do not even think about the appraisal until they are in the room. This I like to see. Do you guys think it's true or false? 3 out of 5 bosses do not even think about the appraisal until they're in the room. Farah goes, true, question mark. It is absolutely true. Let's look at question number 9. 44% of employees do not think their boss is honest during the mid-year appraisal. 44% of employees do not think their bosses is honest during the mid-year appraisal. True or false? Okay, I'm going to surprise you with this. It's actually false. Do you know why, ladies and gentlemen? The number is a lot higher. Yes, here's the surprise. A lot of us don't. Yes, absolutely, Amal. It is more than 44%. All right, number 10. Providing evidence of your feedback will prevent disagreements. Ladies and gentlemen, true or false? Providing evidence of your feedback will prevent disagreements. True or okay, Emily said true to an extent, absolutely, could prevent. You know, ladies and gentlemen, it is true. However, I like to emphasize, we have 2 types of evidence, soft evidence, hard evidence. Just very quickly, hard evidence is always preferable because you can't dispute hard evidence. Hard evidence, say your reports, emails, written comments from customers. At the same time, I like to emphasize that performance management is a conversation. So your managers, team leads, supervisors would also have presented, would present their evidence. And it's a conversation that 2 people should be having and having a discussion so that you can move forward on a positive note. All right, ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for us to move on? Thank you for participating. Now, I just want you to think about this, ladies and gentlemen. What are mid-year? So I did give you a little bit of an insight. It's sort of like a pit stop, a check. And also for a matter of time, I also feel it is organization and the employee going ahead with the plans that have been put in place, or are there some changes that is needed? All right, ladies and gentlemen, you can use the chat, you can shout out, you can unmute yourself. When you think of mid-year appraisal, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? What is the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of mid-year appraisals, apart from dread and punishment or the feeling like you're going to go on that little naughty step? Okay, so Amel says it's achievements. Yeah, what you've achieved in the last 6 months, all the good things, right? Absolutely. Accomplishment, thank you. Accomplishments, absolutely. Improvement, yes. Ladies and gentlemen, you will realize throughout today, or if you've ever attended any of my other performance management training, I don't like to use the word weakness. I like to emphasize areas of improvement, areas of development, because then I think we need to look at these areas as a positive. As a well-rounded employee, we're good at a lot of things. We're not perfect, right? We also have areas that we can improve on to become better. So I don't like to use the word areas of weakness. I want to change it. Let's look at it as development, growth. Absolutely. Thank you, Farah. It's all about growth. Anything else? So Joseph says, how you're working towards your set goals. Absolutely. Are you still on track towards your goals? Remember, at the beginning of the year, you would have sat with your managers, supervisors, have a discussion. They're going to present to you their expectations of how they feel or the goals they want you to achieve. At the same time, you are also going to sit down and talk to them about the goals you're planning to achieve, the areas you want to work on. You want to come up with a plan. How are you going to achieve those goals? And remember, sometimes plan A may not work. And along the way, we need to come up with plan B and plan C. So this mid-year appraisal is the perfect opportunity for you to have a look at those plans and make the necessary changes. All right. Okay, I had the same problem with your name the last time, so I am sorry, but I mean well, and thank you for joining us again. So she says—
No problem.
Oh, thank you. So your contributions so far, absolutely. Oops, sorry. All right, so your contributions so far, absolutely, ladies and gentlemen. I will be talking about this a little bit later, but your mid-year know, or your supervisors know, hey, these are all the great things I have accomplished. These are all the deadlines that I have exceeded, or you may have delivered projects ahead of deadlines. This is your opportunity to blow your horn, and I say blow it hard. Anything else, ladies and gentlemen, that you want me to add? When you think of mid-year appraisals, what are the first things that come to your mind? Anybody else wants me to add anything before we do a couple of questions together, ladies and gentlemen? So here we go. Just a couple of questions for you. You can answer yes or no. You can put it in the chat. Thank you. It is a communication process. Let me quickly add that as well. Can I call you Amy? If you don't mind, that would be your new little
Perfect.
Thank you, Amy. So communication, it is a communication process, but it is a communication process, ladies and gentlemen, that I want to emphasize that should be happening all the time. If it's a conversation that you have all the time, there will be no surprises when it comes to your mid-year or final year appraisal. All right, here we go. You can use the chat. You can unmute yourself, whatever makes you happy, ladies and gentlemen. Please answer yes or no. What is the mid-year appraisal based on? Is it the history of your performance in the organization since 1999? Before the launch of the Apple iPhone? Yes, absolutely, it's not. It is just the last 6 months. All right, question number 2. How much your manager likes you and vice versa? Yes, no, ladies and gentlemen, is it how much your manager likes you? Absolutely not. It is based, look, I like to emphasize this, performance management, feedback, it is based on performance. It's not whether I like you or last week you gave me this weird look with your eye, so now I think that you've offended me. No, it is based on performance. All right, let's look at question number 3. If you have achieved your goals set at the beginning of the year. So remember, yes, absolutely. Thank you so very much. You are super quick, ladies and gentlemen. Amy says that's great, you're an overachiever. But remember, ladies and gentlemen, when you've set your goals for the year, not every single goal has to be met by the mid-year. So maybe like Amy says, sometimes some of us, for an overachiever, we like to try to accomplish as much as possible. But I think it's also a good time to check in to see, hey, am I still on track? Are the plans that I have put in, am I still on track with those plans, or do I need to make some changes? And if you need to make some changes, this is the perfect time to say, hey, let me get some coaching, let me get some advice from my manager. And, you know, they look, sometimes they have a lot of experience, right? They may have been in your position before and they could have the perfect advice for you. All right, let's look at question number 5. Your overall performance, your work behavior, the percentage of your targets achieved. Is it your overall performance, ladies and gentlemen? Your mid-year appraisal. Is it your overall performance, your work behavior? So your overall work performance, your behavior, your yes, you need to work. Absolutely, yes. Now, the last is in your team. Is this what your mid-year appraisal is based on, ladies and gentlemen? Very good, absolutely not. So here we go. So this is what your mid-year appraisal is based on. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you very quickly, very quickly, what do you think are the reasons for mid-year appraisal? What are the benefits to employees? To make your life difficult? To make you feel like you're going in the dentist chair? Look, I want to share with you the great benefits. Yes, Amy, absolutely right. To keep us on track with our goals, Amal says corrections. Absolutely. I'm going to share with you some of the reason. Ladies and gentlemen, your mid-year appraisal gives you a chance to ask questions. And at the same time, it also, remember, blow that horn, blow it hard. This is your chance to let your managers, supervisors, team leads know, hey, this is what I have accomplished. If you have any questions, this is your time to ask those questions to get yourselves back on track. Amy says, yeah, team achievement as a whole. Yes, how your projects have been going. What are the setbacks you have faced? Or, you know, sometimes what are those little lessons that we have learned that now that we can put in place and maybe ensure it doesn't happen again? Learning, it's an evolving process. Look, I like to think of performance management. I like to think as appraisals, an area we can all grow in. And I want to drive home the message that as employees, you are in the driver's seat when it comes to performance management. It's not up to your managers or supervisors. We should be in the driver's seat. We should be the one asking for feedback, not waiting for feedback. All right, here we go. So other benefits, it lets the employee know their strengths, areas that they need to improve on. You know, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes, I'm sure some of you can agree with me, we get a little bit uncomfortable when it comes to us talking about the good things we've done, because maybe we feel like, you know, is my manager going to think I'm a little bit arrogant, or, you know, no. Ladies and gentlemen, you know, this is, you know, another trick that I've learned is, if you get uncomfortable talking about, hey, this is what I've accomplished, maybe you feel like it could be, you know, your manager might seem you're a little big-headed. Let me teach you a little trick. What you can also do is, and I encourage a lot of people to do this, keep a little diary, a journal, you know, like a work journal, or you could have a little folder on your computer, or you could have an electronic tool that you can record. But I prefer a folder on the computer so that, you know, if you get any emails or compliments or comments from customers, you can put this in that folder. When it comes to your mid-year appraisals or end of the year, you can open that folder and you can actually let your manager know, hey, you know what, when I completed this project or I delivered this ahead of the deadline, our customers were super happy, satisfied, and these were the comments I got from the customer. So that way you are blowing your own horn, but you're just doing it in a more subtle way. So that could make people a little bit more comfortable. Another benefit to employees, ladies and gentlemen, it allows you to take responsibility. It allows you to feel like, hey, I'm accountable. I am contributing to my organization's success. It gives the employee that the feeling of, hey, I'm actually taking lead, I'm performing, I know what I'm doing. It just gives people that, you know, it makes them feel like they're valued. Lastly, one of the other benefits to employees is it lets them know what's expected of them. It creates, at the same time, a mutual understanding of what's expected from my manager, what I'm expected to do. I like to emphasize, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not 100% clear of what's expected of you, how can you deliver? Ladies and gentlemen, when you're having that conversation at the beginning of the year about your goals, your objectives, what's expected of you, this is your opportunity to ask as many questions as possible. When you leave that meeting, you have to be 100% clear on what's expected of you and how you're going to deliver those expectations. Once you're 100% clear, you know how to deliver it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now let's talk about the benefits to employers. I thought, we should be well-rounded. We talk about employees. Let's talk about employers. As managers, team leads, supervisors, it actually helps with employees' relation and productivity. Employees want to feel valued. They want to feel appreciated. They want to feel that they are contributing to the organization. They are making some sort of change. They are contributing to the, to the profits that come in. And when you're having this conversation, a two-way conversation, people actually feel like, hey, you know what? I'm valued, I'm needed. And when people feel that they're needed, they perform better. It actually serves as a very effective retention tool. If you realize when performance management in your organization is working and employees feel that they're valued, they're appreciated, you will see that the turnover rate will be less. Another thing that's super important when it comes to mid-year appraisal is everything's documented. So it actually provides a paper trail, not only for addressing performance issues, but also any other disciplinary problems or any other problems that you may have addressed. It is documented. So that when it comes to the final year review, it's not a surprise for the employee. Ladies and gentlemen, the other reason or the other benefit to employers is it also shows that your organization is committed to your employees' success. If your employee is doing well, they're performing, they're delivering their objectives and goals, their growth, they know that they're growing within the organization. They know that they can actually move up the ladder. So it actually shows that, hey, my organization cares for me. I'm actually going to grow. I see a future. That's what we all want, right? All right, finally, ladies and gentlemen, it actually provides very valuable feedback. When it comes to your mid-year appraisal, I encourage this. I always, this is what my boss does with us in Select. When she has any feedback conversation with us, ladies and gentlemen, the first thing she says is, okay, how do you think you have done so far? So it puts the ball in my court where I can actually sit, open up and discuss exactly how the year has gone for me, the good I've done, or maybe the areas I want to improve on. I always recommend you start the conversation this way. So it gives the employee the opportunity to speak up first, because sometimes some employees could be intimidated, right? Some of us don't look forward to having that conversation where I'm comfortable. So starting the conversation this way gives them the opportunity to talk first. So they're not going to clamp up or feel like they need to go on the defensive. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so far, these are the benefits both to employees and employers. Any questions so far while I'm moving on? Are you all having fun? Can I get a thumbs up or a clap? I would do it, Natalie. Oh, thank you, Amy. Amy's always the first. All right, ladies and gentlemen, are we all having, it's okay, thank you, Sangleen. All right, everyone else, I hope you're having fun. You're still with me. You're enjoying. Let's talk about, when it comes to mid-year appraisals, ladies and gentlemen, some of the common problems that we sometimes face. Oh, thank you, Amal, she gave me a clap. All right, here we go. Some of the common problems that we face when it comes to mid-year appraisals. Failure to prepare for the interview. Ladies and gentlemen, I recommend this to everyone. Please don't prepare for your mid-year appraisal 1 day, 2 days. I like to say at least 7 to 10 days. You don't want to be running around like a headless chicken at the last minute, trying to get evidence, trying to get, all these great comments my customers have sent me. No, I like to say, give yourself 7 to 10 days. At the same time, you also want to prepare the right questions to ask. I will share that with you a little bit later. So you want to prepare the right questions to ask. You want to talk about, hey, what has, the areas I want to work on, what has gone well for me. These are my evidence to back myself up of all my accomplishments. You can't, and I want to emphasize that you can let your managers know, hey, I delivered this project ahead of time. Customers are super satisfied, but we also need to give them some data to back ourselves up. So you need to prepare all this. So give yourself sufficient time so that you're fully prepared. Failure to listen. It's so easy to say I'm listening, but are we really listening? We are hearing, but we don't really listen, do we? When it comes to listening, 100% concentration, not just physically, but mentally as well. Stop what we're doing. A lot of times, if you realize when it comes to mid-year appraisals, end-of-year appraisals, any meetings we have, one or the other person is more interested in talking rather than listening, or if the other person is speaking, we are so quick to want to interject or to give our opinion or our advice. So these are one of the other problems. Failure to, yes, Amy says interruptions, absolutely. Sometimes the manager gets a phone call or someone is coming in the room, absolutely. The other a common problem, ladies and gentlemen, is failure to maintain objectivity. Appraisals, feedback sessions should not be subjective, they should be objective. It should be an opportunity where people can work on their areas to improve. They should be able to ask you for advice and questions and not be made to feel intimidated or demotivated. Another common problem that I have noticed is sometimes we don't get feedback, whether it's supportive. Supportive feedback is just basically to reinforce, to say, hey, like a pat on your back, good job, well done, carry on doing the great work. Or corrective feedback, which is corrective feedback indicates there's a need or, for change in behavior or the work that you're doing. So we need to provide feedback, whether it's supportive or corrective. The other common problem is, great, we have a meeting, we've provided feedback, we've discussed what we're going to do moving forward, and then it's all forgotten till the final review. No, follow-up is super important. I recommend this, and I'll recommend it to all of you as well. Please have performance management meetings or check-ins at least once a week or once in every 10 days. It does not have to be face-to-face, ladies and gentlemen. I know a lot of us are working from home, so you can do it on MS Teams, on Zoom, just to have a check-in to see how your week has gone. What are some of the changes that you want to make? Moving forward, maybe you need some coaching, some training. You're lacking in some areas and you feel like some training can help you. Follow-up is super important because you can talk about it, you can put a plan in place, but if we're not following up and checking that we're on track, then it's a waste of time, isn't it? The other common problem is performance should be documented. Whether it's good, whether it's bad, it should be documented because then you can see your progress along the way. Once it's documented and corrections have been made, that everything should be documented. Super, super important because then there are no surprises when it comes to having those meetings. So these are just some of the common problems that I want to highlight. Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk about this. Also, I've realized when it comes to some of the trainings I've done, Some people use the performance evaluation process to actually address a disciplinary problem. Ladies and gentlemen, unless it's actually affecting the performance, it should be two separate issues. You don't want to put it into one. So you want to use your performance evaluation process to evaluate performance. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's not like your surprise birthday party or, a surprise little get together at work. No, there should be no element of surprise. That's why I'm emphasizing the need if you keep having an ongoing conversation, if you're having weekly or, even every 10 days to 2 weeks, if you're having those meetings, there will be no element of surprise. So when it comes to your mid-year appraisal and your manager goes, oh, this particular project was not done, according to the cost that were, cost measures that were put in place. No, there shouldn't be any surprise. If you're having a conversation all the time, there should be no element of surprise. The other thing, ladies and gentlemen, performance management, mid-year appraisals, it's not hearsay, it's not what someone told me about you, or, it's not I went to the pantry and I heard two people talking about you, so now I've changed my impression of you. No. Ladies and gentlemen, it is based on facts. That's why hard evidence is super important. Rumors, it's not about whether I like you or not. If I'm delivering my job, achieving my goals, and I'm there to do what I'm supposed to do, it doesn't matter if you like me or not. The other thing, ladies and gentlemen, is your inconsistent application of your performance evaluation criteria. I think it's very important for every organization to make it clear, these are performance management program, or this is our performance management system. This is what you're going to be evaluated on. So whether it's competencies or behavioral competencies, what are your objectives? It should be very clear from day one. It should not be some sort of surprise or, oh, you know what, this time around, I'm going to use these competencies and next time around, I'm not. No, it should be consistent. It should be the same across the board. Interpersonal issues. I'm sure some of you can agree with me. Personal issues to the side. It should be based strictly on performance. Am I delivering? Am I meeting my objectives and my goals? Are my customers satisfied? Are my projects being delivered? Personal issues to the side. I know sometimes it's easier said than done, but I like to emphasize, and I say this to everyone, you need to leave your personal problems or whatever issues we may have had at the door. When it comes to professional behavior at work or professional business, it should be that professional. Lastly, ladies and gentlemen, holding employees responsible for events or problems beyond their control. Think about the last year or the last 2 years. The pandemic, it's not going anywhere, is it? Working from home, all these new things that we've been introduced to. Us not seeing our families, especially in the is so big. You're missing home, you're missing your families. Sometimes it gets too much, and we're all human beings. It could actually affect us at work as well. So that's why I feel that we need to be very clear when it comes to performance. Clear about, look, if there are some problems that are way beyond their control, I can't hold you responsible. So I just wanted to talk about this, ladies and gentlemen. When it comes to your preparation, so I just want to talk about your preparation, ladies and gentlemen. First, you want to go beyond the numbers. It's not just about how much money you brought in, how many percent you've delivered. It's also about, hey, who are the people I've served? Who are the new customers that I've brought in? Who have I inspired? Maybe we've got a couple of interns that have joined us and I've coached or I've mentored them. That's super important. We need to go beyond that. Have I, contributed to my company, its culture? Also, What did my contributions bring, not just to my team, my department, but to the organization as a whole? Ladies and gentlemen, remember I said, toot your horn, blow your trumpet, blow it hard. But ladies and gentlemen, you want to be well-rounded employees. You want to talk about the good, but you also want to talk about your areas of development. We're not perfect. As a trainer, I still make some mistakes. You want to be accountable and responsible. Be ready. You don't want to be defensive, right? So first things first, please don't come up with excuses. Be responsible. One thing I've learned, ladies and gentlemen, if I've done something wrong, I'm the first to own up. Look, yes, I've done something wrong. I'll put my hand up. I'm sorry, it's me. Let me make these changes moving forward. Your managers and supervisors will thank you for it because they know, hey, you know what? You're accountable, you're responsible. And ladies and gentlemen, if there's certain areas you want to work on, this is your opportunity to ask for assistance, ask for help. Maybe you want to be coached. Maybe you want to attend some trainings. Maybe you can get some advice. You can be mentored. At the same time, this is your opportunity to set your milestones. Look, you have all these goals. How are you going to reach those goals? What are the plans? Ladies and gentlemen, please bring your questions. So have your questions ready. That's why you want to prepare for your mid-year appraisals at least 7 to 10 days. Ask your questions. Take the opportunity to figure out, okay, how can I move forward? You know, I see myself growing, and maybe you want to grow to you want to move to another department. That's where your interest lies. This is your opportunity to say, hey, you know, I love what I'm doing. However, I see myself doing bigger things. How can I get there? Ladies and gentlemen, please, please, please make preparation as part of your routine. One thing I like to emphasize is be proactive when it comes to feedback. Don't wait for feedback. Ask for feedback as soon as a project is over. The thing about feedback is the quicker you get feedback, the quicker you ask for feedback, the impact of feedback is felt. So ask for feedback as soon as possible. I always like to say, ladies and gentlemen, going in for any meeting, whether it's your mid-year appraisal, whether it's just an informal session to talk about how your week has gone, please take notes so that you don't forget what is being said, and you also know what you've committed to follow up on. And ladies and gentlemen, be confident. Talk about the good that you have done. And at the same time, be confident to talk about the areas you want to improve on, because you want to show your managers and supervisors that you're a well-rounded employee. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I like to talk about this as well when it comes to the meeting. So now you've walked into the room, you're going to have your meeting. You want to talk about your strengths and your areas of improvement. And give specific examples. So if you've completed a project, talk about the good in that project. Talk about areas that you think you can improve on for the next maybe similar project. Ask open-ended questions. So the who, the what, the when, the why. How can I become better? How can I improve? How can I grow within the organization? Ladies and gentlemen, it's very important. We're human beings, right? We sometimes let our emotions get the better of us. It's natural. However, ladies and gentlemen, when you go for any meeting, whether it is mid-year, end of the year, you want to be calm and objective. Don't attack, don't blame, don't get defensive. Let the person finish speaking, and then you can ask questions. If you feel what they have said may not be accurate, you can then correct them and say, look, this point was made. Let me show you my evidence to show you that that was not correct. So be very calm and objective. If you feel that you're getting emotional or you feel you're getting upset, take a 1 or 2 minute break. Go to the washroom, grab a cup of tea or coffee. Ladies and gentlemen, again, remember, you're focusing on the performance, not the person. Be objective, not subjective. This is very important, ladies and gentlemen. When we listen, we don't listen just with our ears, but also our eyes. You want to pay attention to the non-verbal clues, body language, facial expressions. Are they starting to slouch? Are they starting to become defensive? Are they drifting away, or are they still in the conversation? So this is very important. Even as employees, when you're talking to your manager, you want to listen with your eyes and your ears. You want to pay attention to the body language, facial gestures, the eyes. A lot of times, they say the eyes is the window to the soul. Ladies and gentlemen, during your meeting, please be very specific about your goals. What is your action plan to reach those goals? What are the timelines that you have set for yourself? You want to check in along the way as well. Remember, plans change. Sometimes we have plan A and plan B in place. Along the way, look at the pandemic. It's thrown all our plans into, it's thrown all our plans into the air. So we have to come up with plan C or D. So set your goals, but very specific goals. Your goals have to be, use the SMARTER objective to set your goals. Ladies and gentlemen, close the discussion. You want to end the conversation well. Remember, this is someone you're going to be working with and seeing every day. Thank them for their time. Thank you for your time. These are the areas I will be working on. I'll have a follow-up meeting with you. Let's have a check-in as soon as possible. Thank you. You want to end it on a good note. So ladies and gentlemen, just a couple of questions that I put together that you could ask for the next meeting that you're having. So you could ask questions like, how do you think I've done since our last meeting? You can also ask questions like, okay, what are some of the specific accomplishments that you're proud of over the last 6 months? Where did you feel you've succeeded really well? What can you learn from it? Are there any areas that you feel you want to improve on, you're concerned about? This is so important, ladies and gentlemen. When a manager, supervisor, or even an employee asking a manager, look, there are some areas I feel that you can support me in. Let me share with you. As a manager, how can I better support you? If we don't ask these questions, I feel like some employees don't feel they can come to you, or they don't feel like they can come to you for help. Ladies and gentlemen, this is another important question. Is there another role you see yourself in at the organization? How can I help you get there? What can we do to get you there? When an employee grows within the organization, you know you're doing something well. So these are just some examples of the questions you can ask. And ladies and gentlemen, at the same time, you can ask them, hey, is there any tools or resources? Think about this now, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of us are working from home. And, a lot of times there are different stresses associated with working from home. So let them know, hey, how can I help you to make remote working easier or more productive? Or, what can we do as an organization to make it easier for you so that you're more productive? So these are just some of the things that you can do. Now, let's talk about this, avoiding discriminatory behavior. Please, 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 no favoritism. It's like our parents telling us there is no favorite child, but we all know there is a favorite child. So we want to avoid favoritism. You want to treat everyone equally. Ladies and gentlemen, you want to ensure that your mid-year appraisal is based on your job-related criteria, not about how I feel about you personally, or last week you saw me in the pantry and you didn't say hi, so now I'm going to use it against you. No. Ladies and gentlemen, your judgments should be based on hard evidence, not what I've heard about you or what I've seen about you. It should be based on hard evidence. Also, ladies and gentlemen, you want to ensure that your employees have a clear understanding of what is expected of them, their objectives, their goals, their performance standards. It has to be clear. If it's not clear, they can't deliver. Ladies and gentlemen, super important, documentation. Good, bad, in between, everything should be documented. So there's no element of surprise. And you want to be consistent. You want to have those meetings, ladies and gentlemen, you want to have those meetings all the time. So this is just a couple things to remember. I've come up with some tips, ladies and gentlemen. Please avoid hasty judgments. Remember nonverbals, body language, facial expressions, posture, the words they're using, their tone of voice. Don't be afraid of silence. Remember, when someone has spoken, the other person could be digesting or trying to make sense of what is being said. This is super important when it comes to active listening. Please don't interrupt. Let the person finish what they're saying, and then you can ask any questions that you're not sure of. Ladies and gentlemen, you want to use I statements. I feel you've done this really well, or I accomplished this in the last project. Say what you mean, be honest, be open, but be professional, ladies and gentlemen. All right, lastly, just before we end, how can we monitor and track progress? Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Please set very clear, measurable, actionable goals. It has to be goals that your employee understands. If they don't understand, they can't improve and they can't deliver. And ladies and gentlemen, there's no such thing as a silly question. There's no such thing as a silly question. If you don't understand something, please ask questions. If you have to ask a question 3 times, it's okay. Ladies and gentlemen, as managers, supervisors, you also want to observe them. You want to get data on a regular basis. You want to actually have those meetings all the time. I want to emphasize having regular meetings, so one-to-one, not just once in 6 months, once in 3 months. It should be, like I said, once a week or every 10 days. Please check in often, check in on them as often as you can. If there's any changes in goals, strategy, policies, anything that could impact them, you want to keep them updated. Ladies and gentlemen, super important, self-monitoring. Why? Because it puts you in the driver's seat. It encourages accountability, responsibility. It's also letting the employee monitor and track themselves. So they feel like, hey, I'm actually in charge of my growth in the company. And it also gives them and let them know that, hey, you can come to me if you face any setbacks or any issues. So these are just some of the ways that you can track and monitor performance. Always keep an eye on the bottom line. Always keep an eye on those goals. How are you going to get there? How are you measuring them? So these are just some of the ways you can keep track and monitor your performance. I want to share with you a really nice video before we end today, ladies and gentlemen. One of my favorite videos. I'm just going to share with you. Give me a second, please, ladies and gentlemen. ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our session. Thank you so very much for joining us and participating. But just before we go, can I please just get you to spend 2 minutes of your time? I'm just going to launch a poll. Let us know if you've enjoyed the session. If you know. Oh, thank you, Amy. All right, I'm just going to launch the poll, just 2 minutes of your time. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you've learned something new. You've enjoyed the session. I've really enjoyed having you today. I'm just going to launch it. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen.